So recently, a nice little shop sim came out, something called TCG Card Shop Simulator. And this game might be just a little too addicting, because for the past few days, I haven't been able to stop playing it. You get to watch the number go up, make lots of money, and then, on top of it, there's a rush of opening unlimited packs of legally distinct Pogi-O cards. I mean, just watch these crisp animations as this pack opens. Seriously, I've had a long list of other things that I was supposed to be doing. This video should have come out yesterday, and I was going to make it when I hit shop level 20. And here we are, a day later, 5 shop levels later, and I kind of want to go play the game more instead of editing this. And so with that said, let's get into it, talking about TCG Card Shop Simulator and why I strongly recommend it. So things start off really simple. It was your dream to run a card shop, and you're finally able to make that happen. You know, it's a little hole in the wall, you've got nothing in your pocket but $1,000. You know, maybe some pocket lint, hopes, dreams. But hey, you're determined to make it work. And to do that, you need to purchase stock in the form of things like card packs, little figurines, some of which are very overpriced, which is a very good thing for you, playmats, card sleeves, dice, and more. But before you get any stock, you need to purchase a license to buy that stock, which functions as an initial upfront cost. So you have to sell enough of a thing to make the money back before you can move on to the next product. Early on, it kind of feels like this is an all-you-can-eat buffet of there's so many licenses to buy, so many things to get. But later on, this is honestly less of a problem, because as more and more EXP is needed to level up, well, obviously, the thing that's going to be holding you back is the EXP rather than the licenses or the money. Once things arrive, you got to put them on a shelf, set a price, and it's time to switch that sign from closed to open and let the customers in. Speaking of, how do you decide if the price is right? I'm going to be honest, I'm still kind of just making it up as I go. I haven't decided anything 100% for sure. I'm still experimenting. And you know what? If you've been playing the game a lot as well, and you've got any strategies that are working really well for you, share them down below. I'd love to hear about them because I don't know if what I'm doing is actually optimal. But usually, I keep it pretty close to market price. You can sell things for as much as 40% above, but sometimes this is going to make a customer angry, causing them to leave and not buy anything. Meaning by getting that 40% on one sale, you might have missed out on money on a different sale, which if the price was more reasonable, could have actually outweighed it. You can also sell stuff for less than market price, but generally, I don't see any advantage here as around market price, maybe a couple pennies more or less, things tend to sell pretty quickly anyway. So for an easy rule of thumb, on most products, 10% above market price, then hit the round button because dealing with even dollar amounts is just way nicer, and having to constantly give customers change over 1 penny or 5 pennies really slows you down when you're working the register. I also found that in general, it's better to sell more things at a lower price than a few things at a high price, with one exception, and that is high-value single cards that are extremely rare. Some of them are so rare that I've literally only pulled one of them in my entire time playing so far, and so yeah, if I mark that up to 40%, get the most money possible, that is totally worth it to me. Now with that said, after you stock the shelves and the customers start to come in, you might notice a few of them stink. And when your customers stink, other people are going to leave the shop. So be sure to spray them with Cleanser ASAP. Yeah, it turns out, instead of just being a card shop owner, you're a part-time Febreze as well. But don't worry, if you're running after your customers with a bottle of cleansers a little too annoying for you, later on you can automate this, and when you do, the mechanic is pretty much a non-issue that you have to think about a couple times a week. But the other thing that customers do when they're in your shop is they pick out items and bring them to register where you ring them out to make your profit. You then use this to buy more stock, purchase licenses, pay your bills, or run tournaments. And trust me, after you work the register for a bit, you're absolutely going to find that you don't want to have to put everything at $1.99, $2.99, $3.99, just because it might trick the customer into buying a little bit more. Admittedly, because these are NPCs rather than real humans, I don't know if that works. All I know is I don't want to give them 97 cents and change. So you could either have the price be lower and just give them the even dollar amount anyway, something that I kind of do a lot, or just round the prices and make it nice and even, and because they're NPCs, it's probably not an issue to begin with. Speaking of, every day your bills accumulate, but you don't need to pay every day. You only need to pay once every 7 days. That does mean you want plenty of spare stock for that day, so you don't have to spend all of your money. But it is kind of relaxing. People walk up to you, you hear a nice little beep every time something gets scanned, then you know there's going to be a super sweet ka-ching from the register as you get all that sweet, sweet cash. Now, one place where I do think there's a little more room for, let's just say, price gouging, or we could be nice and say profit maximization, is in single cards. When you open packs, you get random cards. Some of these are shiny, full art first edition, silver edition, gold edition, or EX edition, meaning they're worth more money. And I've opened a lot of packs, in part because it's more profitable than selling them, sort of, and in part because it's just plain fun. I do most of my opening at either 8 a.m. before opening the shop or 9 p.m. after closing the shop. Therefore, it doesn't interrupt me or prevent me from serving the customers. Another nice thing about opening packs is it gives you EXP that levels your shop up, giving you access to more licenses, lets you expand, and eventually even hire employees. And so here's a couple observations. Number one, even opening the most common packs, you can get valuable cards. Number two, getting really valuable cards is rare. I've only gotten a couple of them, and I've opened, well, according to my achievement, 1,000 packs. Then, after you do, put out the high-value cards. Typically, I do about a 20% markup on these, going up to 30 or even 40% on the absolute most valuable, and then just boxing up all the low-value ones and selling them using the workbench. It's going to take a really long time to recoup the $1,000 I spent on the workbench, but hey, it makes me feel better about getting the clutter, and eventually it will turn a profit. So that's about it for the basics. After that, I dove in to just keep doing what I was doing and making my shop the very best like no one ever was. Bought a little bit of everything, and I found it paid to keep prices on the lower end, especially for the items that had cheap prices and very high margins such as card sleeves. I did keep higher prices on things like rare foil cards, because again, if I'm only getting a couple of them across all of my play sessions, I might as well maximize the value there. But for everything else, not only do you get more EXP the more items you sell, but also, since some of these items have higher innate margins, it's better to put them at a low price, so the customers think, oh hey, that's a good deal. I could definitely buy this. I've seen the banana game where people went crazy over pennies. I'm going to buy all these card sleeves from this card shop, start my own card shop and sell them for 2 pennies more and make a profit. Again, I don't know if that's what the NPCs are actually thinking, but I'd like to think so when a guy rocks up and buys like 30 packs or 50 card sleeves. All I know is, when they do, I'm absolutely the winner that day. I also found that people really like sitting down at the tables to play, so I lined up a whole bunch of them. You can think of the tables as a passive income that helps you counter things like your rent, paying your employees, all of which does go up as you expand your shop. But I found, in general, my tables make enough to completely erase anything there, so all I need to do is worry about being profitable with my stock versus the price I'm paying for it, and versus the new licenses I'm buying. Now, in addition to all this, because this indie game has way too much going on in it already, and yet it still has more features, you can run different events. This has a chance to influence specific card prices, and provided you're tactical with it, makes you even more money because it increases the cost per hour for someone to sit at the table. So if you have a lot of fire cards, raise the price of fire cards. If you have a lot of EX cards, assuming that people have played like 1,500 games at your tables, then you can raise the price of EX cards. This very much incentivizes you to open a whole bunch of packs all at once, and then slowly sell things in different sets while maximizing for that price. Though I also feel like you can kind of just pick whichever thing gives you the most money from the tables per hour, and not worry about the selling cards thing nearly as much, and still make really solid profits. But with all the basics out of the way, what other things have I learned as I've played through the game so far? First up, the Auto M100 sprayer that automatically sprays with Tenkiei customers is really nice. But it doesn't work that well. So you actually need to set up 2 of them, both of them in range of every customer who enters your shop, Otherwise, you're going to have some stinkers in there. I also found that when given the option, it's better to delay a purchase and buy a bigger warehouse shelf or a bigger stock shelf to maximize the value per unit of space. The bigger your shop gets, the more you pay on rent. So you don't want to buy shop expansions unless they are necessary. And if you buy a shop expansion, the first thing you should do immediately is try to fill that space with something. If you don't have enough products to fill up all your shelves, then that probably means you shouldn't be buying more shelves, at least for the time being. Also, an early goal for me was unlocking the legendary pack so I could pull all the shinies. I did this by reinvesting my money into stock, expanding my products, and focusing on card sales for quite a bit. While I was doing this, I noticed there was kind of a morning rush where a lot of people came in early and then quickly filled the tables. So I'd be especially sure to make sure everything was really stocked up before the morning, and I found that having an employee to restock the shelves during the morning rush very much helped so that I could just sit at the register, which kept people from piling up. Also, while I do think opening card packs is very fun, and from a most money per in-game day, it's certainly very effective, I don't know if it's actually the best for most money per hour spent playing, because it takes quite a long time to open the packs. That said, I haven't been too scientific about it, so maybe it is the best way to do things. I'm just going to keep telling myself that. Definitely feels like as you level up, customers are willing to pay a little bit more for stuff and buy more expensive things. Because at first, I was struggling to get more than 1 2K profit per day, but then I started to hit my groove, focusing on bulk sales, 3 to 5K, and now I'm getting in excess of 5K per day, and it just keeps going up. So by level 30 or level 40, who knows how much you're going to make. Also, after hitting level 20, I finally hired an employee. Again, this way I could stick to manning the register, and while he's not perfect, it does seem to be better to have an employee, at least once you hit shop level 20 and can get one of the faster ones. That way, people aren't either completely depleting your stock or they're not piled up at the register. But I also found that, in general, maybe it was just because he was slow, he took way too long to do anything at the register, so I'm just handling that myself. In the future, I might hire one of the employees who's fast at checkout, put down a second register, and see how that goes. Overall, I'd say employees felt a little bit janky, but definitely very workable. So with all that said, I've had quite a bit of fun with the game, but not everything's perfect. There's a few rough edges, things that bugged me, that I want to highlight in the hopes that they're improved. Number 1, opening packs is really fun. You get some high value stuff from it, but it takes a long time. Like, that animation is really, really slow. And if you're fishing for those rare foils and ghosts, you need to open literally hundreds of packs. In fact, I've literally opened 300 packs in a row and not gotten one of those foils or ghosts. So I'd love to see a way to open either 8 packs at once or maybe even an entire box of packs at once in a single animation, then only show me the high value cards and let players control this. Just like give you a little slider where you can say, okay, $10 or more, those are the cards I want to see. Anything below $10, don't care. Speaking of, when you are bulk boxing cards at the workbench, right now, the maximum value of those cards that you bulk box is $1, which I find a little upsetting because I have so many cards in the like $2 to $5 range that I am never going to sell. They just don't sell fast enough, and I keep opening packs. So it'd be really nice if instead of them just sitting there piling up and being useless, I could at least get some value out of them. It's only like 10 to 15 cents per card. It's not very much. But as opposed to be basically nothing that they'll get from sitting in my collection, it'd be really nice if I could, again, just extend that slider. You know, if someone wants to box up a more expensive card, let them. Maybe put a warning. Hey, this card's worth over $5. Are you 100% sure you want to box it? You can't go back. Just a little warning like that should be totally fine. I also noticed that after level 20, EXP starts to slow down and you don't get the same sense of progression. Now, this isn't terrible. I think the gameplay loop is still pretty cool, but I could also see a lot of people falling off at this point. That way, it almost reminds me of RuneScape from back in the day, where most of the grind was from level 92 to 99. But a lot of the time, the progression was from level 1 to 70, and after 70, you didn't actually get any meaningful upgrades. Now here, there are a few things. Like at level 25, the Destiny set unlocks. That's cool, but if a grind's going to slow down, I'd like to see something else that you could work for. Whether it's shop decorations, new, more efficient ways to store things and shelf things, discounts for bulk buying boxes, maybe have some of those bulk licenses unlocked much later, but be more cost effective. Really anything so that as you keep going, that sense of progression and having things to unlock that you actually care about at every level does continue. I also found that the way employees interact with warehouse stock can be a bit problematic, where he'll take a box from the back, but then also take a box from the front. So I have 2 boxes that can hold 16 total things. I have 3 things left, but both boxes still exist. So if I restock, I have to manually move stuff out of one box into another box. I've also noticed that sometimes the boxes get shifted around when you save and reload the game, which causes similar problems. It'd be nice if a warehouse always prioritized giving both you and the employee whichever box was closest to being empty, so that way you can easily cycle your stock without having to worry about it. Now, these next few complaints are definitely minor, but I'm going to bring them up in hopes that they're made a little clearer or otherwise improved. Number 1, I couldn't figure out what a card display does. Does this make customers pay more, or is it purely cosmetic? It'd be nice if there was a description that made this clearer. Number 2, well, initially, the music was nice and chill. There's not a ton of variety, so after a few hours, I ended up turning it off. A little more variety here would definitely be nice. Number 3, aiming at high and low shelves is a bit awkward, even if you lower mouse sensitivity. By default, I found mouse sensitivity was cut. I found the default mouse sensitivity was so high that it was genuinely nauseating, but after lowering it a bit, it isn't too bad, though it's still a little bit hard to find the exact spot to aim at a specific shelf. I almost wish there's more snapping here. Kind of like how when you're placing stuff down in your shop, there's this little snap to the nearest object thing that's really, really nice. But all things considered, for a game that just dropped in early access with a huge roadmap, these are relatively few complaints, and I'd say relatively minor ones overall. So, if you like cozy games, shop sims, or trading cards, I can very much recommend the game. Now, when it comes to early access titles, I always say, buy a game for what it is right now. It's $13. For me personally, it was well worth the money, even just for the gameplay that I've already gotten, never mind the gameplay that I'm still going to get. Also, if you're unsure, the game has a free prologue. You can download that on Steam and check it out. But this is an early access title, and they have an extensive roadmap. So I'm going to go over and give some of my thoughts on things that might be coming in the future. First up, can sell old shelf. I don't actually know what this one means, because you can already box up and sell things if you don't need them. Number 2, customer review app, which would put a greater emphasis on making all of your customers happy. If you're greedy and you jack up the prices too much, you're going to piss people off. They're going to give you a 1-star review. That's not going to be good because it'll probably stop future customers from coming in. Since this game leans very much into the sim side of things, I'd say it's a very good feature. And right now, I do think customer satisfaction means something in terms of more people coming in, but there's not a clear, okay, I made this many people happy, this many people mad, how well am I doing? You know, kind of like YouTube, where you can hit the like button, and you can hit the dislike button, and aside of potentially making a creator sad when they look at their back end, you have no actual feedback on if that did anything. Then there's customers trading cards. This is really cool, and I can't wait to see the implementation. I think there's a lot of things that can be done with single cards that currently aren't. Having customers trade them, maybe having some sort of bargain bucket where you can put a bunch in and they just automatically sell at a certain percentage of market price. I know there's the bulk boxes that sort of does the same thing. Maybe you could make your own decks and sell those. That would be really cool. I don't know. There's so many options and possibilities here for the game to lean into the trading card stuff, because these are all the things that the TCG card games don't let you do, because part of your monetization is a one-way you buy cards for money or earn them through gameplay, and then you collect them all, but you don't really trade them. This can focus on the trading part because it's a sim rather than a card game. Though, about that, playable TCG is on the roadmap, so maybe this is going to be a card game in the future. I did notice that all the cards have different effects. Some of them are pretty intricate. I have no idea what the balance looks like. Right now, with the packs being kind of common through legendary, with the later packs seeming to have evolutions, it seems to be a little bit like Pokemon meets Yu-Gi-Oh! We're probably sacrificing cards. I suspect overall it's going to be a relatively simple thing. You're not going to have instant spells and mid-turn reactions where you might in Magic the Gathering. But watching those people sit at those tables, being able to look over their shoulders and see actual hands of actual cards, being like, man, I wish I could play. Guess what? You're going to be able to play. And that's really cool. Random events may occur. I'm going to guess this is something like a guy steals something, or a rich customer comes in and buys everything. Definitely going to help to break up some of the monotony. More shop product types? Yes. More shelf and table types? Yes. Again, the game needs a little more progression, especially in the latter half. So more types of things to buy, more types of things to sell, more ways to display them, all good things. More TCG types. This one honestly blows me away because we already have such a detailed TCG, so adding even more sounds really, really cool. Though it also feels like it might be a little ambitious. Shop decoration makes sense. I'm going to guess that having a fancier looking shop makes people pay more. We'll see. Grading cards. I know this is a very big thing in actual card collections, where someone brings you like a first edition card and you grade it and you go, well, this scratch here makes it this grade, but it's really shiny and nothing's worn and you didn't touch it with your dirty, oily fingers. So it gets a 9 out of 10 and it's worth even more money. Having this extra granularity makes sense. Though I also hope there's some sort of way to have employees do some of the automation for selling cards. Like I'd love to tell my employee, hey, go through all my singles and sell all the cards that are worth between this much and this much at market price plus 10% rounded, so that I don't have to constantly be refreshing it. Because I do feel like, especially as your shop gets bigger and you manage other things, the card singles are a bit on the high maintenance side. And last up, difficulty mode. So if you just want to chill, have the shop go easy, you can do that. Or if you want a super tough challenge mode that only the 0.01% like myself might be able to beat, well, you can do that as well. Admittedly, I don't think I'm actually in the 0.01% because I'm good. I think I'm in the 0.01% because I played way too much of his game, so I'd probably lose on hard as well. But hey, a guy can dream. With that said, while the roadmap does look really cool, it is also a lot, and I mean a lot. So I don't know if everything is going to come to the game. I don't know if everything's going to be super detailed when it does. I honestly have no idea. I certainly wouldn't recommend to anyone to buy this game because they think, oh, hey, that looks like a really cool potential playable TCG in the future. No. Buy it for what it is right now, not what it may someday be. But if all of this is delivered on, that's going to be really awesome, and I'd say the game has a bright future ahead of it. And so for now, I'm going to get back to the game. It's been a ton of fun to progress, and I might even do a fun little challenge run, so maybe get subscribed and keep an eye out for future videos. Leave a like if this helped you decide whether TCG Card Shop Simulator is or isn't for you. Also, I might do a couple other videos, so let me know down below if there's anything that you'd like to see. With that said, I'm glad you've enjoyed, and thanks for watching to the end of the video. I haven't really covered too many other sim games recently, though if you want to see another title that I am really excited for, if it's a city sim, check out my thoughts on Citadellum. It very much reminds me of Caesar 3, which is a game that I played way too much of when I was younger. For now, I'm going to get back to cracking some packs because they certainly aren't going to crack themselves, and I did just unlock access to the Destiny box. I don't know exactly how valuable the Destiny cards are going to be, but so far, every time the rarity bump has gone up, there's a higher base price, which means the more valuable cards also sell for more. So who knows, maybe I will finally pull the big old $1,000+ card. And so with that, I'll see you in the next one.